Right, I'm going to talk a little bit about scope mounts. Frequently we get carried away with the rifles that we've got, specs of the rifles and all the rest of it. How powerful they are, ranges, how accurate they are, how good the trigger is, all the rest of it. Also scopes, another one that people obsess about, spend an awful lot of money on top quality scopes, really good zoom ranges, excellent optical clarity, all the rest of it, parallax adjustment, ballistic turrets and all the rest of it. But an area that's frequently skipped over, pardon me, is the mounts. And really, they are just as crucial to any setup, rifle scope setup, as either of the other two components, the scope or the rifle, because they provide the interface between the scope and the rifle. And if they're no good, ill-fitting, loose, badly machined, so your scope's got an inbuilt bit of cant in it or whatever, then frankly they will detract from even the most expensive rifle scope combination. And it is quite amazing how many people spend a couple of £1,000 on a really good rifle and over £1,000 on a really good scope, and then buy a set of fairly shoddy mounts, which is ridiculous really, because even the most expensive of mounts, a fraction of the cost of your scope or the rifle. You know, you really expensive ones are about 150 quid, and you can get really good ones for about 50 or 60. So what I've got here is I've got 3 different types, 3 different makes of mounts, ranging in from the low end. None of these are budget mounts, because you can get some really poor mounts. What I've got here are the budget end of the usable market, if you like. So they're budget, but they're still usable. Then we've got some mid-range quality mounts, and then we've got some high-end mounts. Right, start off with these. These are Hawke mounts. Now Hawke make obviously a huge range of scopes, and they also make an equally extensive range of mounts, Picatinny mounts, Weaver mounts, high-low, 11mm rails, 13mm rails, you name it, Hawke seem to make it, set back, all sorts. And generally speaking, when it comes to a bargain set of mounts that are going to be pretty good, the Hawke ones are probably the go-to ones to buy really. They're fairly inexpensive, but they're also fairly well made. They come with an arrestor pin, fitted only on one, on the rear one, and the Picatinny ones also come with a single bar on the Picatinny fitting. Now, they're not bad, but they are a little bit flimsy. And the other thing I really don't like about these particular mounts is, I don't know whether you can see it here, I'm trying to show you, that in there. They have a piece of like sticky back plastic, sort of felt type stuff inside the top and bottom of the mount. And the idea is that it stops you from marking your tubes, which is all well and good, but the only trouble is, as it gets hot, that tends to move around a little bit. And also, if you're ever trying to move your scope to set the crosshairs up, where you need to have it not tight, but reasonably tight, so you've got a bit of grip so it's not flopping about everywhere, these can impede you trying to do that and make it really difficult. So, I don't know why they put those on there. Well, they do it because the machining's not perhaps the greatest in the world. So it gives you a little bit of leeway for the poor machining on the mount. It's not poor, they're alright, but it's not the best. So there's the Hawke mounts. Moderately priced and usable. They are usable, they're alright. There's been plenty of people use Hawke mounts and managed quite nicely for years with them. Like I say, the rubber pads, not a big fan of those, but other than that, they're okay. Right, now probably the most popular air gunning mounts going. The Sportsmatch mounts, obviously, most air gunners will be familiar with these. And they're a bit of a quantum leap from the Hawke ones, really. As soon as you pick them up, you can tell straight away you're dealing with a much better quality product. The one thing, the aluminium alloy that they're made of feels a lot tougher, a lot denser, a lot heavier. The machining is a lot crisper and a lot neater done. They've got no rubber pads. The screws seem to be a much harder material, so they don't cross thread quite as easily as the Hawke ones. The Hawke ones do have quite soft screws and also quite soft screw holes, so there is a tendency, if you're not really careful, to cross thread those. The Sportsmatch ones are much tougher, much more durable. Again, Sportsmatch make just about every conceivable type of mount you can imagine. Again, they've got an arrestor stud at the back on the ones for sort of 11mm rails, screws in or screws out, and they make the Picatinny ones with the bar across. These are probably what most air gunners would regard as the bee's knees for an air gun. They're the go-to quality mount, if you like. They range in price from about, I don't know, 40 quid, 35 quid, up to 100 odd quid for the one piece adjustable mounts, perhaps a bit more than that actually. I think the most expensive one makes about 170 quid, which is a one piece fully adjustable one for height and windage. And they're very good there. You can tell straight away, if you pick a Hawke mount up and you pick one of these up, you can tell instantly, even with your eyes closed, that you're dealing with a much better product. The machining's much better, the finish is better, everything's better, but they are, for the same thing, roughly twice the price. But these are really good. Sportsmatch mounts, always like Sportsmatch mounts, and they're really good. Then we go up again to these. Now these are, if I can get them open, I have to put my glasses on. On the round. These are tier 1 mounts. Now these are really good. These have got a really good reputation in the firearms world for being excellent, durable, top quality mounts. And again, you pick them up and you look at them closely, and the finish of them is sublime. They're really good, beautifully made. The fit, the finish, everything about them is bang on. They come with a little inbuilt spirit level, and these are the Picatinny ones, and both on the Picatinny ones, both the mounts have got the Picatinny bar. They come with Hawke screws rather than normal screws. So these have Hawke headed screws, and again it's a Hawke headed screw, as opposed to the normal Allen key fittings that are on the Sportsmatch and on the Hawkes. Now, when you buy these, you get a little box they come in, and you also get the very good quality Torx heads to go with them. And again, they're heavier, they're much heavier. You know, put them by the side of a Sportsmatch mount, and you can see that you're looking at a heavier, altogether more robust product. The machining of these is superb. The finish of them is amazing. They're really, really good, and they've got a really good reputation amongst firearms users, target shooters. I mean, just look at the finish on that. I mean, they're just finished so well. You know, these are really nice. Sportsmatch mounts are great, but again, going over to something like tier ones, a jump up again in quality. Do you need it? Probably not. You could probably get away with, you know, Sportsmatch mounts have got a fantastic reputation. They're really good. I've never had any problems with them. They are very, very good. But if you're looking for an extra bit of bling or an extra bit of rigidity in your, you know, if you've got a particularly big or heavy scope that you're going to be bobbing about a bit, then these are really good. They're expensive. They are expensive. These two-piece ones cost the same as a one-piece Sportsmatch mount. But, you know, the quality speaks for itself. They're machined all in one go, apparently, on a 5-axis CNC machine. So the tolerances are superbly fine on these. And when you pick them up, they just feel, you just feel like, you know, you're going up another level from a Sportsmatch. So, to recap, any of these would probably do. The Hawke, I don't like the little rubber pads. You get a little bit of leeway with them and it makes setting up your counts on your scope sometimes a bit of a nightmare. Also leaves an awful, terrible, tacky mess on your scopes if you ever come to swap your scope over, and it can be a right pain in the neck to get it off. So there you sort of, all of these are usable. I haven't got any really rubbish ones because I've never bought any really rubbish mounts, but you can get some that are really bad, like terrible, really badly machined. They're out on the tops and bottoms don't match, the screws are pathetic, and the mounting grips don't grip in the rails. They're rubbish, but these are usable. You know, they are usable. If you're on a tight budget, the Hawke ones are usable. Sportsmatch, go-to mounts for most air guns. For what they cost, they're fantastic. Really good, really well made, beautifully machined, beautifully finished. Great. They're very, very good. These tier ones are probably the peak of things. Got titanium bolts, titanium hardware on them. Again, torques driven. Machining is probably machined to a higher tolerance again than the Sportsmatch ones. The alloy that they're made from again feels slightly heavier and denser than the Sportsmatch ones, but they are much more expensive. So there you go, so you take your pick really. But to be brutally honest, you could probably get away with any of these. Most people would go for Sportsmatch. Fantastic reputation, really good. High-end scope, you want to show off a bit with a high-end rifle for the extra 30-40 quid. Well, I like these. These are really nice. They look nice on because you can tell they're a nice quality product, and they just look really nice. They're nice and secure, beautifully made, really, really nicely finished, and they give a really, really solid mount for your scope. And then these, if you're on a bit of a budget, don't buy the really cheap rubbishy ones, spend an extra £5 or something and buy the Hawke ones. And don't forget, don't be tempted to skimp on the mounts, because at the end of the day, you can have the best scope in the world and the best rifle in the world and be a truly excellent shot, but if your mounts are rubbish, you're not going to hit anything. Your results are going to be erratic. So it's worth spending a little bit of time, a little bit of thought, perhaps a little bit of extra money on your mounts. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and look out for more in-depth reviews, and I will be testing my new Nightforce SHV scope out in the field, possibly in the next video that I make. So thank you very much.